Ladies and gentlemen, on this day, I see clearly. Wait a minute, we're not talking about Toronto. Today we are talking about Edmonton and Calgary instead. On this very fortuitous hockey day/hockey night in Canada broadcast, where the Oilers have literally broken history. You don't see this too often, where records that are 50 plus years old actually go out there and get shattered. But the Edmonton Oilers, hey, guess what? They've done it today. And it comes in the form of a 3-1 victory over the Calgary Flames. As I had said, this was Hockey Night in Canada. It was a double feature. The Canucks and the Leafs played off against each other at 4 p.m. PST, and then just 3 hours later, the Oilers and the Flames played off against each other in the beautiful Heritage Classic uniforms, and with goals from Ryan McLeod, Mackenzie Weegar, Sam Gagner, and Zach Hyman, you saw the Oilers come out on top. That game winner, by the way, Sam Gagner, from behind the goal line, chucking it off of the Calgary players' I believe it was the stick, and then it bounced off of Vladar and in. It was crazy. Sam Gagner just so clutch, such a veteran presence on this Oilers team. And, you know, I'm not the biggest Oiler fan in the world, but acknowledging what Sam Gagner did with the Canucks, I definitely do have a soft spot for him. However, with this win for the Edmonton Oilers, it puts them now in the third place spot in the Pacific Division. They've overtaken the LA Kings, which actually, they were already overtaking the LA Kings, but their lead is even bigger now. The Kings are playing off against the Rangers as we're speaking, so even if they do win, they'll be 1 point behind Edmonton. So heading into the postseason, it's really looking like the Oilers are securing that spot. And part of the reason they've vaulted up to this position in the Pacific is because they are on a 13-game win streak. The Oilers are 10-0-0 in their last 10, they've won 13 in a row, and that is good enough to literally break an NHL record that has stood since 1967-1968. Take a look at this tweet made by DNB. The Oilers 3, Flames 1. That's 13 straight wins for Edmonton. They set a record for the longest winning streak by a Canadian team ever, besting the 1967-1968 Montreal Canadiens. They're 4 wins away from tying the entire NHL record set by the 92-93 Pittsburgh Penguins. And this is always one of the things that you talk about with your friends in school. Like, when I was 10 years old, I remember having like trivia things with friends about hockey. Oh, who's had the longest winning streak? Oh, it's the Penguins with Lemieux and all those guys in the 90s. And then, oh, who's had the longest Canadian streak? Oh, it's the Jean Beliveau Montreal guys, 1967-68 Montreal Canadiens. The Oilers have broken that. And it comes off of the tail of a fantastic run from guys like Stuart Skinner. You had Cal Pickard going out there. This is Skinner's game log that we are looking at. But as we had talked about in a previous video, he has been so good the past few months, even in this game tonight against the Flames, a .963 save percentage, 27 shots against and 26 saves. He has just been fantastic, and Cal Pickard has been carrying his weight too. Just take a look at the goals against for Skinner. 1 goal against in the Ottawa game, 1 goal against Chicago, 1 goal against Montreal, 2 against Toronto, 2 against Seattle, 1 against the Flames. This has been such an incredible run, and Stuart Skinner has blasted himself to near the top of the NHL goaltending rankings because of it. And Cal Pickard doing what he's doing as well. Let's go out there and see. But he's been pretty good too. 3 goals against the Devils, but the Oilers scored 6, which is good. And then 2 goals each against the Red Wings and the Anaheim Ducks. What I wanted to do as well, celebrating this Oilers achievement, was go over the last team to actually do something like this for a Canadian squad. Let's talk about that 1967-68 Montreal Canadiens team and try to figure out what the Oilers could accomplish based off of what that team accomplished. So if we head over to Wikipedia, there is a page for the 67-68 Montreal Canadiens season. This actually was the 15th Stanley Cup winning year for the Montreal Canadiens in their entire history. Now, they've won so many Stanley Cups, so 15 seems like nothing at this point, but They won the Stanley Cup in 67-68, and if you take a look at some of the point production, the leader in goals was Jean Beliveau, he had 31. Leader in assists was Bobby Rousseau with 46. Beliveau led the team in scoring with 68 points on the year. And if you head over to the overall NHL standings that season, you'll see that he wasn't actually near the top. He was 11th overall in overall points. 68 points in 59 games played for Beliveau, and the number one point scorer that year was Stan Mikita with 87 points in 72 games. You also had yourselves Phil Esposito, Gordie Howe, a few other guys whose names have been cemented in NHL history. And for Beliveau specifically, I mean, we all recognize that he was one of the best players to ever play the game. But this 67-68 season was actually near the tail end of his career. He had already been playing with the Montreal Canadiens for over 10 years now at that point. So this Canadiens team, with Beliveau as the captain, where they won these 12 games in a row, you had other guys here, Cornier, Dick Duff, Jacques Lemaire, Provost over here, lots of other guys that you'll recognize. Henri Richard was here too. He must have been really old in this season, wasn't he? 67, 68? Yeah, this is also like one of those later seasons for the Pocket Rocket. But either way, this Montreal Canadiens team was good enough to win themselves the Stanley Cup Finals, sweeping the St. Louis Blues. That's kind of funny because 67, that was the expansion season. St. Louis was new in the NHL. So thinking about how everything formed to get St. Louis into the finals in the first place, I mean, you could see that every single game in the finals was decided by one goal, and two of these were in overtime. So even though it was a 4-game sweep, even though the Blues were the brand new team in the NHL alongside all these other squads, it was still a lot closer than you would anticipate based off of a 4-0 sweep statistic. Either way, though, I'm not saying that the Edmonton Oilers of 23-24 are guaranteed to be doing this and winning the Stanley Cup and sweeping whatever expansion team is in the finals because, that's technically impossible nowadays. But when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers, they literally have broken a record that has stood the test of time since 1968. In fact, let's go out there and look at that. Let's look at this Canadian season and look at the game log and see where all the results came from. So, the Canadiens, in this season's worth of play, 1967-68, they won their 12 straight games starting on January 6th against the New York Rangers, and it ended when they lost 3-0 to the same Rangers team a month later on February 4th. So in between that, you had 3, 6, 9, 12 games won in a row by the Montreal Canadiens, and then for the Oilers, you have their 13-game win streak, which has just been so impressive. They have really risen back up into relevancy, and they should be feared as much as they should have been feared, let's just say at the beginning of the season when they were considered to being a Cup favorite team. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Oilers doing something absolutely historic in this season's worth of play. They are 4 wins away for tying the all-time NHL winning streak record of 17 games by the Lemieux Penguins in the 90s. We'll see if they do that. They've got a few extra games to do it, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section either way about the Oilers and their win against the Flames. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.